Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to do something a little different. We are turning our gaze completely away from the golden masks of pharaohs, the sheer grandeur of the monuments, and the sweeping annals of war. Instead, we're stepping right into the visceral, gritty reality of the ancient Nile Valley. We're going to reconstruct the actual human world of antiquity, looking closely at the everyday survival, the intense physical suffering, and the absolutely astonishing medical resilience of ordinary people who lived thousands of years ago.
So, I want you to picture this. Imagine waking up to a world where the desert sand permeates literally everything. You can feel it grinding between your teeth. You go to take a bite of your stone-ground bread, and instead of a nice soft crust, you feel this harsh crunch of quartz and grit. And suddenly, a blinding, throbbing pain shoots right through your jaw from an infected tooth. How on earth did someone survive this ruthless environment millennia before we had things like modern anesthetics and antibiotics? Well, let's find out.
Section 1. The grind of daily life.
To really understand daily survival back then, we have to look at the historical reality of ordinary laborers. Specifically, we're looking at a group of highly skilled tomb builders at a settlement called Deir el-Medina around 1250 BCE. We actually have their 3,200-year-old attendance records. These were etched right onto a limestone tablet, and they reveal this deeply interdependent community reacting to extreme physical constraints. For instance, being bitten by a scorpion was listed as an excuse to miss work. That was a constant, acute occupational hazard out in the desert quarries. Another excuse was brewing beer. Now, that wasn't a fun leisure activity. It was the essential daily production of a safe, high-calorie hydration stable, mostly because untreated water was full of disease. But here's the most remarkable one: wife or daughter bleeding. This is a direct reference to menstruation, and it required the male worker to literally stay home to take over the heavy domestic labor. And because these builders were such a prized workforce, the state actually provided their monthly grain rations even during these absences. It's essentially an ancient, fully functioning system of paid medical leave.
Section 2. The dawn of dentistry. Now, despite that incredible community support, the harsh Egyptian environment, and especially that diet heavy in stone-ground flour we talked about, triggered some absolutely excruciating dental issues across almost every single class of society. The primary threat was that sand-contaminated bread. It caused severe tooth attrition, literally grinding down the enamel over time and triggering dangerous, incredibly painful abscesses. But where there's extreme suffering, there's often remarkable innovation born out of sheer necessity. To combat this, early medical specialists started applying herbal fillings made of honey and barley. They formulated stabilizing pastes, they actually drilled into jaws to drain out the infections, and they even engineered some of the world's earliest dental bridges, using gold or silver wire to anchor loose teeth together.
And what's wild is just how early this started. This level of specialized care stretches all the way back to approximately 2650 BCE. That is the era when an Egyptian official named Hesi-Ra served under Pharaoh Djoser, establishing the formalized foundation of oral medicine.
You see, Hesi-Ra and his peers basically proved that oral health was inextricably linked to the functioning of the entire state. Treating pyramid workers became a highly respected, crucial profession. In fact, his tomb inscription literally calls him the greatest of those who deal with teeth. And that right there cements his legacy as the world's first recorded dentist.
Section 3. Anatomy from the Afterlife.
So here is a fascinating paradox. Much of Egypt's really advanced medical knowledge didn't actually come from treating living people. It originated from their profound religious rituals surrounding death. The meticulous, incredibly sensory-heavy process of mummification inadvertently gifted Egyptian embalmers with the ancient world's absolute best understanding of human anatomy. To prepare a body for eternity, they followed highly precise steps. They extracted the brain using a long hooked implement inserted right through the nostril. Then they'd make a small, precise incision in the left groin to carefully remove internal organs for preservation. Now, they definitely didn't fully grasp the biological function of every single organ, but this repetitive, hands-on dissection allowed physicians to record real, empirical findings on papyrus. And that paved the way for early surgical methods based on actual anatomical observation.
Section 4. Pharmacopoeia of the Nile.
Armed with this new anatomical awareness, Egyptian scribes and physicians put together an incredibly diverse pharmacopoeia. They were fully utilizing the rich botanical and mineral resources of the Nile landscape, and their empirical methodology was staggeringly advanced. For instance, they treated physical ailments and inflammation with willow tree bark. Well, willow bark contains salicin, which is quite literally the natural precursor to modern aspirin. Got an infected wound? They would pack it with moldy bread, physically introducing penicillin-like antibiotic fungi to halt secondary infections. They also used honey, which is naturally antibacterial and hygroscopic, meaning it draws moisture out of open sores to help them heal. They even used the opium poppy as a powerful sedative and cannabis as a systemic painkiller. They were effectively anticipating modern pharmacology by thousands of years.
And they documented everything meticulously. The Kahun Gynecological Papyrus, which dates all the way back to around 1825 BC, stands as the oldest known text on women's health. It's this fascinating historical document detailing complex, non-surgical botanical treatments. It prescribes remedies like scented oils and highly specific diets. And all of these treatments were heavily influenced by a foundational cultural belief. They thought a free passageway connected a woman's womb directly to the rest of her body, meaning her overall systemic health relied completely on the treatment of the womb.
Section 5. Magic, Medicine, and Heka.
But here's the thing. To truly inhabit this ancient civilization and understand how they saw the world, we have to recognize that for the Egyptians, empirical science and profound spiritual belief were totally 100% inseparable. They believed that illnesses, bad luck, and disasters were usually caused by angry deities, curses, or malicious spirits. So a physical remedy absolutely required a supernatural defense to go with it. And that brings us to Heka. Heka was the ancient Egyptian god of magic and medicine, essentially the foundational life force that priests invoked. To cure a disease of supernatural origin, Heka was the ultimate, unquestioned authority.
This dual worldview was built straight into their healthcare system. It was like a medical tag team. First, you had the Swanu, which was essentially a general practitioner trained at the temple-based House of Life. They relied on those anatomical papyri, surgical tools, and herbal prescriptions to heal the physical body. But working right alongside them was the Sa, the magical practitioner. These were priests of Haka, and they used amulets, protective charms, and incantations to invoke divine healing. The Swanu and the Sa worked in absolute tandem. They would combine a very practical honey poultice with a deeply spiritual ritual to restore the natural order of the cosmos. For the patient, it was about providing completely holistic salvation.
So when we gaze back across 3,200 years of history, we shouldn't just see crumbling ruins or abstract historical figures. We're looking at ordinary humans, people who missed work to brew beer or to care for a bleeding spouse. We see laborers who endured severe physical hardship, literally grinding sand in their daily bread, and who relied on this incredibly seamless blend of empirical science and fierce spiritual resilience just to survive. They shared our enduring human desire to heal, to protect our bodies, and to comfort our families. Really, their existence was a masterpiece of human adaptation against a highly hostile environment.
As we wrap up this explainer, this intertwined legacy of mummies, magic, and medicine leaves us with a pretty profound historical reflection. It really asks us to examine our own era. Amidst all our bright, sterile, modern clinics and hyper-specialized science, we have to ask ourselves, have we somehow lost the profound comfort that comes from treating the human spirit right alongside the physical body?